Amazing grace, how sweet the sound, oh, that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, oh, but now I am found. Was blind, but now I see.
I'm having to do a voiceover on this part because the wife and kids are still asleep, but all I'm doing here is putting some soap in the bucket to wash up the cow udder with here in just a little bit. Right here, I'm pretty aggravated at the hot water heater for always tripping out and messing up. And right here, you'll see me just filling up the water bucket nice and early in the morning to get a good start. Welcome to Built on Faith Homestead, or Leaving Egypt, depending on which video platform you watch your content on. My name is Justin. I live with my wife, Melissa, and we have 3 children. We live in a tiny house, and we just do the best we can to live a self-sustainable life and serve the Lord first and foremost. Seek first the kingdom of God. The rest of it will be added unto you. This morning, I thought I'd take you guys along, kind of for the morning chores, if you will. And sorry, having trouble holding the tripod, I guess. For the morning chores, if you will, milking and feeding animals and those kinds of things. For those of you that don't know, me and my wife live on our family's farm. Very blessed to be in the situation we're in until hopefully one of these days we can find some land of our own, good Lord willing. Which I need to quit. Every once in a while, I like to just go see what's out there. And I was surfing some land the other day, and I was like, boy, that'd be awful nice. But we aren't there yet. So we need to keep plugging away, and I need to quit looking probably. But I thought we'd go around, milk and feed and water all the animals. I'd like to talk about digital currency and my personal concerns with it. And how I think it applies to biblical prophecy. So, if that sounds interesting to you, come along with us and share in the morning. The first thing that we like to do, that I like to do before I milk, I like to take my glove, put it on, and I just wipe her off really good. Wipe down around her udders, get all the dirt and debris off of her before we wash them up. And then we just wash her udders really, really good with a soap and water solution. We do have some iodine around, and if it's extraordinarily bad out, like it kind of has been, we will iodine them. I will tell you, our milk cow anyway does not like the iodine for whatever reason. I don't know why, but she's not a big fan of it. So let me see if I can get the camera down here and we'll kind of show you what we do here with the soap in the water. So it's not the best of angles, but I'm scared to put it the other way because she does not like this tripod much either. So bear with me. But we got a wet rag, wet soapy rag, and we just wash and scrub and get all of the any nasties, if you will, off of the udders. So get her good and warm soap. This also helps her milk to drop. And you can usually feel that. I've learned anyhow over the past little while to learn to feel it. And then we use a rag and we dry her off really, really good. So we get all the dirt and all the poop and all that off with between the rubbing with our glove to get all the big chunks off, washing it up good with warm soapy water. Iodining it if you need to. Iodining it. Hard to talk this morning. And then drying it with another rag. Now, when you're done here, don't think you're done washing, because she may go ahead and take a poop or a pee this morning, in which case you want to have the rag still available. This is our little pail, and this is what I call the clean outs. Right, you give her 3 or 4 real good clean outs to clean out those tits. Anything that might be in there bacteria wise will probably flush out in this clean out, any dirt or debris. Or it's also a good time to see if the milk looks funny, may have some mastitis issues or whatever. Now, the reason why I put it in a pail, and some of you probably aren't going to like this, But I put it in this pail because it's not much milk, as you can tell. Maybe. Yeah, it's not a whole lot of milk. But I always save it and pour it over my chicken feed. I figure chickens eat corn and that kind of stuff right out of cow patties. A little bit of milk with some bacteria in it probably ain't gonna hurt them none. No reason to waste it. We work too hard for it. So here's our 2-gallon milk pail. Get it up under, get nice and close. You can feel her start to move if you need to hurry up and get the bucket out of the way. And we get to milking. So typically speaking, I like to listen to my Bible app while I milk. Not all the time. Sometimes I like to just sit here and milk in the quiet of the morning. Listen to the birds start to wake up. You can hear the roosters crowing, the other wild birds around, and just think about the things of God. Think about either some scripture I've read or how we're living our life or what I could be doing better. Just talking to the Lord, thanking Him for the things that He does for us, for blessing us the way that He does. Sometimes, if we're just being honest, probably complaining when I ought to keep my mouth shut and not worry about it. But that is life, I reckon. But this morning, since we're recording, it's going to be awful hard to listen to my Bible app and do that at the same time, considering we use our phone to record. However, let's talk about digital currency while we milk this morning, and then we will go and look at the rest of the animals. So, this digital currency, right? It's going to happen. There's no way around it. Britain's got their, what most people are calling Britcoin, right? They're unrolling. I guess Jamaica and a few other countries have already unrolled their versions of digital currency. And to me, or for me, that's very concerning, because as we milk this morning and we get eggs and we feed our rabbits and our chickens and all of that, if my neighbor down the road wants to buy eggs from me or wants to buy raw milk or something like that, or a rabbit, he can just come and pay cash, and there's really no interference with it any other way, right? But if we are under a digital centralized currency, you will have to do all those transactions digitally, which will all be tracked and traced by the government, which is something that I'm not necessarily in favor of. Not because I want to do anything illegal, but I would like to have enough freedom with my money to be able to go spend it where I want to without the government poking their nose in it if I can keep from it. So let's say we're under the mark of the beast scenario just for a little bit, right? And let's say that if you don't have the mark, right? You have a milk cow, but you don't have the mark. And let's say you milk your cow. Then your neighbor down the road who also didn't take the mark, if we have cash, he can just come and give me money for the milk, and we can roll on about our business. But if we have to use a digitalized, centralized federal currency, then we can't spend that money, move that money around, can't even receive that money unless we have the mark of the beast. Therefore, I believe it is something that is going to happen. And some of you will say, well, let's just go to a barter system. And I agree, right? Do as much bartering as you can, right? Do as much trading as you can. However, I can't trade at the feed store. I can't trade my electrical company for my electric bill. And you say, well, just get off grid. Well, that's what we're trying to do. All that takes a lot of time and money. And we don't have a whole lot of either one. See, this is what I'm talking about. Now she's peeing. And there's definitely some flashback going on in them udders. Not much. She does a good job keeping them away, truthfully. But now we'll have to wash them back up. We don't have a lot of time or money either one. So we have to move pretty slow in our off-grid, self-sustainable lifestyle that we feel like the Lord has called us into. So we're done milking. And then we'll put some bag balm on her. Just to keep her tit clean. That hole the milk comes out of actually stays open for a little while after you're done. And so in order to curb mastitis, I always cover that up and try to keep everything nice and took care of. This helps keep everything soft, helps everything milk easier and better. And so we just kind of cover them up there. This bag balm, man, my grandparents always kept this stuff around when I was a kid. They didn't have milk cows by the time I come around. And so, but they always kept this stuff around. And this was, I always said at Grandma and Grandpa's house, if you couldn't cure it with salt water or bag balm, you was in trouble. Because they'd put it on stuff, sunburns, cuts, infected, get something a little bit infected on you, they'd put that on and draw it out, son. It'll draw it out. Put a splinter on there, get a splinter in your hand, it'll draw it out, son. And you know what? It will. It'll draw it out. But anyway, that's the morning milking. And remember, under a digital currency, you would not be able to buy that milk from me without the government sticking their nose in it. Good job, Stella girl. Good job. You want to say hi? You don't like the bright light, huh? I always give her a little bit of a scratching after we get done milking and putting the cream on her. Let her know I appreciate her. We only got the one milk cow, so we can afford to spoil her a little bit by giving her a little extra scratching every once in a while. Good job, Stella girl. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. You want to say hi? Do you want to say hi? Be nice. Be nice to him. All right, we at least have a little daylight now, but I want to show you guys the rabbits real quick and get them fed and watered up. All right, so here they are. Here's the old black rabbit. She should have babies in a day or two. Here's little red. And as you can see, she's got babies running around. Just took the nesting box out of them, out of here the other day. I still need to feed them. I did go ahead and water them. Say good morning, Red. This one we call Scarface. We just took her babies out of here not too long ago, and I'll show you what they look like in a little bit. This is the one we called Wild. She's not a wild rabbit, but she's kind of colored like one, and she needs to be bred. And this is our stud buck running around here. And remember, once again, a centralized digital currency, you could not buy one of these with cash money. You would have to use a digitalized, centralized currency, and the government would have their nose up in it. All right, chickens. Already dumped their feed for them. They got water in their pails. We use those in the freezing weather because they're really easy to pop the ice out. Still have the bucket in here, but it doesn't work in the freezing weather. Come on out, guys. Watch it, rooster. Ah, watch it. Let the chickens work their way out, and we'll get the eggs. Not very many eggs this morning. Not very many eggs this morning. They crushed a bunch of them last night. And I know why there's not many eggs. Because yesterday I took a bunch of our Orpington hens that were in the other pen and put them in this coop and run setup. And between adding new birds, and I'm sure they were fighting in the coop, and they crushed eggs. So we only got like 4 eggs this morning, which is okay. We've been getting over a dozen a day. And so we'll be all right for a day or two if they kind of throws them off. I figured it would, truthfully. Chickens are real finicky. All kinds of stuff throws them off. I don't think it's the feed. We don't buy our feed at Tractor Supply. We do buy it at MFA. So I'm not sure it's the feed necessarily. It may be. Who knows? We'll see what happens, I guess. But remember, once again, under a digital centralized governmental currency, you wouldn't be able to buy eggs from us either. Without the government knowing exactly where you're spending your money and how you're doing it. And if you're unwilling to take the mark of the beast, you sure won't be able to do so. So I'd really like to talk about this centralized governmental digital currency. Right now, there's other countries that's done it. Jamaica. Britain is the newest one to come out and say, hey, we're moving to this. And we'll show you those articles here. Here we read about Britain taking on this digital currency or moving to it. And it also says in this part of the article that somewhere around 80% of the world's banks are looking to move to this as well. And then, of course, here in this part of the article, it talks about how it's much better for this to be backed by a central bank, a governmental bank, instead of in private hands because of things like what has happened with FTX. Here we read about the Bahamas and Jamaica and a few others that have already went to it, and it says 20 other countries are running trial projects. The U.S. and the European Union are considering introducing digital currencies. How exciting for us here in the U.S. Now, once again, as a child of God, as a Christian, as a Bible-believing Christian, I look at that and say this is how they gain the type of control they need in order for the mark of the beast to take full effect. Because right now, if my neighbor has got some cash and he wants to buy eggs, he can come down here and buy eggs. He requires no mark, no pledge of allegiance to the one world governmental system. And as we press further into this, if you've paid any attention, if you know anything about things like ID 2020 and their desire to get everybody to have a digital identification that they can tie their banking records to and all those things. Right now, it's broke up by government and by individual nation states, these digital currencies. Eventually, it will be a one world currency. There's no doubt about that. Christians have been screaming this for a long time, that we will have to have a cashless society in order for the level of control to be implemented that needs to be implemented to allow the mark of the beast system to roll out. So, that is why people like me are so concerned about these things when we see it and want to raise awareness to it, because biblical prophecy is coming true faster and faster all the time, and my desire is that each and every one of you would believe in the Lord, trust in Jesus Christ, and place your faith in Him and do the best you can to live after the things that He would have for you to do. And secondly, that your guys would be opened up to the world around you. We appreciate you guys watching. This is our morning routine. Drop the milk off in the house this morning. I'll take the eggs in. Typically, Melissa and the kids are up cooking breakfast, but Bo was up last night teething and hurting, and so Melissa's trying to get some extra sleep, so I'm gonna try to slip in there and start some breakfast. There's a few snowflakes starting to fall. Be a good time to go in and get around the wood stove, make some sausage and eggs, big old cup of chocolate milk. Truth be told, actually, it'd be a cup of kefir. And then maybe a cup of chocolate milk. And we'll get on with the rest of the day. This is our typical morning. We'll catch you on the next video. And as always, don't forget to start your day off with prayer. That was the very first thing we did this morning. Don't forget that. That's the most important part of the day.